Everybody, I'm here with comedian Ron Placone, and the miserable liberal Steph Zamorano is with us, and we're going to talk about that assassination they had in Turkey, right? So it was the Russian ambassador Andrei Karlov was murdered by an off-duty Turkish policeman, and he did it because of Syria, and so that's not good when you're assassinating diplomats, and that's outside the normal bounds of things, right? Of war even, right? Because you're supposed to be able to. So this guy, check out this guy's name. All right? So he wrote an article defending assassinations. And I'm not shitting. He tweeted it out. Look what it says. It says, wherein I make a case for political assassinations when the victim works for Putin or Hitler, that is. So now he's equating Hitler with Putin, or Putin with Hitler. And this is from the Daily News, which is a fantastic newspaper. And the headline is, Assassination of Russian Ambassador Andrei Karlov was not terrorism, but retribution for Vladimir Putin's war crimes. As Vladimir Putin's man in Turkey, Karlov was the public face of that murderer's dictator's war crimes around the globe and of oppression at home. So according to him, anywhere you see a Russian diplomat, that's just like seeing Putin. Same thing. So anytime, like if you saw Condoleezza Rice, that would just be like seeing Dick Cheney or George Bush. That same thing, right? Is that what they're saying? Andrei Karlov is the human embodiment of policies that he's the ambassador of policies that deployed bunker busters to kill babies, sent fighter planes on scorched earth bombing runs that destroyed a whole city, aided Syrian madman Bashar al-Assad in his campaign that has killed hundreds of thousands, and even ordered attacks on UN aid workers. So, by his thinking, the entire Bush administration should be marked for death for the Iraq war. By that thinking, we'll just extrapolate out. Again, this is this moronic, myopic. The fact that this guy was able to write for a newspaper, let alone read one, is fucking amazing. This guy writes for a newspaper? I'm surprised a guy with this bad of thinking skills could actually read a fucking newspaper. Are you kidding me? Aptly named, by the way, this guy Kuntzman, whatever his name is. So that's what he's saying. So here we go. We'll go on a little bit more. He says, I'm surprised his murder didn't come months ago. After all, this was the lead sentence of a Washington Post story from October 9th. And then he lists the lead sentence from the Washington Post from October 9th. Quote, there seems to be no way for the international community to stop the ongoing war crimes being committed by the Syrian regime and its Russian allies. First of all, I know right away that I get a little tipped off that this article is bullshit because it calls the Syrian government a regime. Why do you call someone a regime? Is it the Obama regime? Is it the Cameron regime? What other regimes are there in the world? Or that's just a government you don't like, so you call it a regime? So Washington Post says, ongoing war crimes being committed by the Syrian regime and its Russian allies, especially in Aleppo, the newspaper reported. And the newspaper went on to say, but by brazenly flouting international law, leaders and rank-and-file officials in both countries are opening themselves up to future justice in multiple ways. And then he concludes, justice has been served. This is unbelievable. He says, like Karlov. So then he goes on to talk about there was a Jewish guy in 1938 who killed a Nazi official, in France. So he says, like Karlov, Rath was the public face of atrocity. Rath was the... Yes, thank you very much. In this case, Adolf Hitler's genocide, anti-Semitism, and coming global aggression. So this guy Rath, who was a Nazi diplomat, was the public face of atrocity. That era's politicians fiddled while Hitler burned down Europe So it took a nobody named Herschel, I can't pronounce that last name, Greenspan, to stand up for the, that's the old spelling of Greenspan, Herschel Greenspan, to stand up for freedom and make a powerful statement that evil must be fought whether in a conference room or on a battlefield.
Wow. This guy's basically saying, I don't understand how this article got published. It's in an American newspaper. This is, all right, there's certain types of speech not protected by the First Amendment. Right. And I was thinking about this as you're reading the article, and the way they define it is fighting words, incitement to imminent lawless action, which I would say assassinating ambassadors falls under that category, and solicitations to commit crime. I mean, I feel like it kind of blurs all of those.
This is so bad that it actually almost breaks laws. Is
right.
What you're saying. That's
yeah,
how bad
I'm pretty
is.
much saying, like, I don't know if this is protected by the First Amendment even, because, I mean, that's... If somebody would go out and try to assassinate another ambassador and cite this article... I mean, it's just, he's basically saying it's okay.
So what this guy is saying is that it's open season on Russian ambassadors. And for what? For fighting ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria, because that's what they're doing. They're fighting ISIS and Al-Qaeda and al-Nusra and all these Islamic radical groups who are trying to overthrow a sovereign fucking government. Those are outside fighters. This is a proxy war happening inside Syria. And all this guy's moralizing is fucking bullshit. Bullshit. That guy's full of it. I don't know if he's probably dumb enough to believe his own writing. Mm-hmm. This guy. If you can write that, you're pretty dumb. So he goes on. He says Karlov's job in Turkey was to ease tensions over Russia's atrocities in Syria and its incursions inside Turkey itself, meaning his job was to enable and normalize Vladimir Putin. So now every Russian ambassador should be shot. Given that role, he wasn't a diplomat, but a soldier. And his death is the same whether it came on a battlefield outside Aleppo or in an art gallery in Ankara.
Yeah, this reads like hate propaganda, not an opinion piece in an American newspaper. I mean, this is
like Nazi propaganda.
Yeah, like it's basically, and yeah, I mean, I get. So does that mean when you don't like actions another country's taking, you can just any of their ambassadors are fair game?
Fair game.
That's
according
lunacy.
To this guy, fair game. Ambassadors are now fair game. So I guess his killer was also a soldier, not a terrorist, mind you, but a soldier. So that guy, that off-duty cop in Turkey, he's saying he was a soldier. Terrorists kill innocent people with trucks in Christmas markets, or with planes and skyscrapers, or how about with bombs? What the fuck do you think America did in Iraq? Was that terrorism? What do you call an illegal aggressive war where you drop bombs and blow stuff up and kill people and take over territory? Is that not terrorism? What is that? Do you think the people in Iraq were not terrorized? Of course that's terrorism. What about when we went into Afghanistan? Half the country was on the brink of starvation. We were told that by all the aid workers working there. All the aid agencies working there said, don't bomb. We said, fuck you. We bombed anyway. All the aid workers had to leave the country. We're starving people. Soldiers kill their fellow soldiers. So, and then you just say whoever is a soldier.
How easy?
How easy. That's very convenient. Well, like I was a soldier.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out this journalist Kuntzman, what he was noteworthy for a little bit prior was his coverage of a hot dog eating contest at Coney Island. That's what, maybe they shouldn't have taken him off that beat. Maybe that was what he could handle. Although maybe they took him off because he said it was okay to shoot the losers. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
He says, will history vindicate Melvlut Mert Altanitas? That's a tough word to say. That's the Turkey off-duty cop who killed Karlov's assassin. That's for history to judge. But it has vindicated Greenspan and indeed vindicated others who have fought against aggression and fought for freedom. So get this now. Hitler is the new Putin, who was the old Saddam Hussein that might be the new Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Hitler still gets around. Hitler's almost as bad as Hitler. I would say. This guy, justice has been served. And that just goes to show you that Kuntzman is also a shitty waiter. He says, so I'm for one shedding no tears for Andrei Karlov. Frankly, I'm surprised his murder didn't come months ago. I bet Kuntzman never even heard of this guy before this week. Do you think he knew about this guy? I'm surprised. You didn't even know that guy's fucking name, you hot dog salesman. He said that, so Kuntzman said in a tweet, I abhor violence. I was explaining that Russians are killing Syrians, so a Syrian fired back. Except that the assassin, well, here's what he said. First of all, let's get to some tweets. This guy tweeted to this, after he tweeted out his thing about his he goes, hey, are you also greenlighting the assassination of every political leader allowing the spread of radical Islamic terrorism? And he writes, I am greenlighting nothing. I abhor violence. I was just explaining that Russia is killing Syrians, so Syria fired back. I don't know how to
more than that.
I don't know how to break this to you. The guy who killed that ambassador wasn't a fucking Syrian.
Look at his profile picture. I mean, that doesn't look like a guy that would be like, oh, assassinations are cool. Like, it doesn't really.
The guy
looks
wasn't
like a guy that would cover a hot dog eating contest.
The guy wasn't a Syrian, you jack off. Oh, no, it's just explaining that Russia is killing Syrians, so a Syrian fired back. That guy was Turkish. That guy was from Turkey, and after he shot the guy, what did he yell? He yelled, Allahu Akbar. Did I say it right? Yes, that's what he yelled. He didn't yell, oh, I did a good thing against Russia.
This isn't really an assassination. Depends on how you look at it. There's this article that validates me.
This is not really an assassination. You got to look at it a different way. Allahu Akbar, however that is. But guess who else pointed this out? Adam Johnson, who I follow. He said, the guy wasn't Syrian.
Wah, wah, wah.
How could you get that wrong? So that's it. So.
You know, Jimmy, they are saying that he pulled a Kuntzman.
A Kuntzman.
Yeah, that's it. Oh.
He pulled a Kuntzman. Steph.
Yes, I'm sorry, Jimmy. That's what they call it.
Kuntzman, not funny. Kuntzman.
Okay, so say it.
Oh, he pulled a penisman. And then if his name was Penisman, that would be funny to say penisman, but if you said penisman, that would kind of ruin it, right? So that's Kuntzman. The article is so morally abhorrent, maybe it is just bloody so clickbait. Maybe that's what this article is. But unless the author picks up a gun and goes to the local Russian embassy, I'm going to say he's enabling Hitler. Why did you allow Hitler to run around? Why didn't you get a gun and go kill someone? I mean, according to your own article, that's what you're supposed to do. Why would you just let Hitler run around?
Who gave an opinion column to the hot dog guy?